There are fighters you prepare for with strategy, film study, and discipline. And then there are fighters you prepare for by accepting that pain is inevitable. Naoya Inoue belongs to the second category. He does not simply beat opponents. He dismantles them, layer by layer, breaking their rhythm, their composure, and eventually their will. Yoon Kim believed he was ready for that reality. Or at least, he believed he could survive it long enough to impose his own. The opportunity itself arrived suddenly. On January 24, 2025, Naoya Inoue was supposed to face Sam Goodman for the undisputed super bantamweight championship. The bout had already been delayed once after Goodman suffered a cut in sparring. When that same cut reopened during training ahead of the rescheduled date, the fight collapsed entirely. Inoue was left without an opponent, a champion without a challenger, in a sport where momentum matters almost as much as skill. 2 weeks. That was all the notice Yoon Kim received when the call came in. 2 weeks to prepare for the most feared puncher in the lower weight classes. 2 weeks to convince himself that this was not a death sentence but a career-defining chance. Kim accepted without hesitation. In fact, he seemed almost eager. He spoke as though he had been waiting for this moment his entire life, as though the monster was not an obstacle but a door. He claimed familiarity with Japanese boxing styles, insisted he understood Inoue's power, and framed himself not as a replacement but as a threat. For some fighters, short notice is an excuse. For Kim, it became part of the narrative he built around himself. The underdog who didn't need time. The challenger who wasn't there to survive, but to win. Inoue, as always, said very little. He didn't need to sell the fight. His reputation had already done that. For months earlier, he had dominated TJ Duhaney at the Ariake Arena in Tokyo, reinforcing the idea that at 122 pounds, the division existed under his rule. Calm, composed, and relentlessly focused, Inoue carried himself the way champions do when they know exactly who they are. He wasn't distracted by Kim's words. He wasn't amused either. He was there to do what he always does. Handle business. When fight night arrived, the contrast between the two men was unmistakable. Kim stood in the ring calm and alert, his posture controlled, his expression serious. He looked like a fighter who had convinced himself that this moment belonged to him. Across from him stood Inoue, radiating an intensity that felt almost physical. His eyes didn't wander. His body didn't fidget. There was no wasted energy. This was not a man hoping to win. This was a man expecting to. The referee's instructions came and went. Protect yourself at all times. Touch gloves. Good luck. The bell rang, and immediately, the tension shifted from anticipation to reality. Inoue began patiently, taking small steps, watching Kim's reactions, studying his timing. Kim, to his credit, did not rush. He stayed defensive, cautious, aware of the danger in front of him. For much of the opening round, it was a battle of patience, each man probing, each man waiting for the other to make the first mistake. Late in the round, Inoue began to find his range. Straight rights slipped through Kim's guard, digging into his body. They weren't thrown with reckless force. They were placed with intention, like markers on a map. This was Inoue reading his opponent, noting habits, testing reactions. Kim dropped his lead hand just enough. He telegraphed certain movements. Small details, invisible to casual viewers, but glaring to a fighter like Inoue. By the second round, the monster started to settle in. His footwork became more assertive, his pressure more consistent. He closed the distance without rushing, creeping forward, forcing Kim to give ground. Sharp 1-2 combinations snapped Kim's head back. Heavy body shots drove him toward the ropes. The pace increased, and with it, the physical toll. Kim was still composed, still disciplined, but now he was reacting rather than initiating. There was a moment when Kim reminded everyone why he was there. He timed a counter left hand that caught Inoue's attention, followed by a brief combination that drew a murmur from the crowd. It was a statement. I'm not here to survive. I'm here to win. For a split second, it seemed like Kim might be able to disrupt Inoue's rhythm, to force the champion into a more cautious approach. But fighting Naoya Inoue is about more than landing a good shot. It's about what happens next. Inoue absorbed the moment, adjusted instantly, and responded not with panic, but with precision. His timing sharpened. His shots shortened. Each punch carried intent, and each exchange tilted further in his favor. Swelling began to form under Kim's eye. His midsection showed signs of sustained damage. The body shots were no longer just investments. They were withdrawals. As the rounds progressed, Inoue's balance and positioning became a showcase of mastery. He accelerated and decelerated effortlessly, always in control, always ready to counter. Kim continued to fight bravely, refusing to open up recklessly, but the pressure was relentless. Inoue's jab became a weapon, setting up the right-left combinations that had ended so many fights before. The monster was no longer gathering information. He was executing. Then came the moment that changed everything. Trapped near the corner, Kim absorbed a flush left hand. Instead of retreating, instead of resetting, he made a fatal choice. He gestured at Inoue, egging him on, challenging him. It was defiance born of pride, a refusal to be dominated quietly. But against Inoue, defiance is an invitation. The response was instant and brutal. Inoue planted his feet, found his angle, and unleashed a lightning-fast combination. A straight right hand landed clean, detonating on Kim's face and sending him crashing to the canvas. The sound alone told the story. This wasn't just a knockdown. It was a statement. The monster had arrived. Kim rose, fueled by heart and adrenaline, but the tide had turned irrevocably. Inoue smelled the finish. He poured it on with surgical violence, mixing vicious body shots with snapping head punches. Kim tried to step out, tried to find space, but there was nowhere to go. Facing Inoue is about picking your poison, and Kim had run out of options. The final sequence was devastating. Inoue opened up, his combinations flowing effortlessly, each punch landing with frightening clarity. The crowd erupted as Kim absorbed shot after shot, his defenses breaking down under the onslaught. It was beautiful and terrifying all at once. A reminder that at the highest level of boxing, there are degrees of greatness, and Inoue operates on a plane few can reach. When it was over, there was no controversy. No debate. Naoya Inoue stood victorious, still undefeated, still undisputed, still the man at 122 pounds. The monster had done what he always does. He punished arrogance. He rewarded bravery with respect, but not mercy. In the aftermath, Inoue showed the humility that often gets overshadowed by his violence in the ring. He thanked Kim for accepting the fight on such short notice, acknowledging the challenge of facing an unfamiliar opponent without extensive preparation. Kim, for his part, walked down the aisle to a standing ovation. The audience recognized what they had witnessed. Not just a loss, but an act of courage.